Cornwall, a place of rolling fields, quiet lanes, rugged coastlines, a place where life moves a little slowly, where neighbours know one another and violent crime seems a world away. But on a crisp October afternoon in 1998, that sense of safety was shattered. 41-year-old Lyn Bryant set out on a short, familiar walk with her dog. She never returned home. She was brutally attacked and killed just yards from a country chapel. No motive, no robbery, no suspect ever convicted. And for 2 decades, the mystery has haunted this small community on the Roseland Peninsula. This is the story of Lyn Bryant, a devoted mother, a woman loved by her family, whose murder remains unsolved to this day. I'm your host, Richard Flopper, and welcome back to True Crime with Richard Flopper. 41-year-old Lyn Bryant was a mother of two, living with her family in the quiet village of Rawn High Lanes. She worked as a carer and was well known in her community, and by all accounts, she was caring, approachable, and devoted to her family. On October 20th, 1998, she followed a routine that was completely ordinary. A lunchtime walk with her dog on a familiar route. It was the kind of everyday ritual that is just done and then forgotten about. Seemed to be very safe, unremarkable. Instead, it became the last walk she would ever take. It was just after noon when Lyn was last seen alive. A witness spotted her speaking to a man near her grey Ford Escort, parked close to the Rawn Methodist Church. Not long after, Lyn was attacked and fatally stabbed in broad daylight. Her dog, unharmed, sat loyally near her body. The location was chilling, just yards from a chapel, in a place so rural and quiet that violence seemed unimaginable. There was no sign of robbery, no sign of sexual assault. Whoever killed Lyn acted in sudden, brutal violence and then vanished. Police quickly launched one of the largest investigations Cornwall had ever seen. Roadblocks were set up, hundreds of people were interviewed. Witnesses described seeing a scruffy-looking man in the area, as well as suspicious vehicles. But leads dried up. The man Lyn was speaking to was never identified. No weapon was recovered. With no clear motive, investigators struggled to piece together what had happened. Theories ranged from a random stranger attack to the possibility of Lyn's killer may have been someone local, hiding in plain sight. Yet no evidence has ever been strong enough to point to one person. For years, the case remained frozen in time. But in 2018, exactly 20 years after Lyn's murder, police announced a breakthrough. Forensic teams had recovered a full male DNA profile from the scene. This should have been the moment the case cracked wide open, but the DNA didn't match anyone on the national database. Once again, investigators were left with more questions than answered. Despite police appeals, including reconstructions on Crime Watch, the trial has remained cold, and every anniversary brings renewed calls for information, but still no arrests. For Lyn's family, the years since 1998 have been filled with grief, frustration, and unanswered questions. Her husband, her children, her wider family, all forced to live with the fact that her killer has never been brought to justice. And for the small community of Rawn High Lanes, the murder was a wound that has never truly healed. In a place where doors were open, they're now locked. Fear and suspicion lingered. A brutal reminder that even in the most peaceful places, tragedy can strike without warning. Where it stands today, over 25 years since the murder of Lyn Bryant, police continue to hold out hope that advances in forensic science, or someone finally comes forward, will bring the answers that have been missing for so long. Rewards have been offered, appeals continue, and investigators remain certain that someone somewhere knows the truth. Over 2 decades have passed since Lyn Bryant was killed in a quiet Cornish country lane. Her family have waited decades for answers. Her community still carries the shadow of that day in October 1998. And somewhere out there, someone knows the truth. A man was seen speaking to Lyn shortly before her death. A DNA profile has been recovered, and yet no name has ever been matched. The case remains open, the investigation is still active, and hope has not disappeared. If you yourself have any information in the UK, no matter how small, you can contact Crime Stoppers anonymously in the UK at 0800 555 111. Once again, that's Crime Stoppers Anonymous at 0800 555 111. For Lyn's family and for a community still seeking peace, even in the smallest detail, it brings comfort before justice is even served, just to progress the case and find out a little bit more. Let me know what you think of this story, guys. I'm your host, Richard Flopper, and thank you for tuning in for another episode of True Crime with Richard Flopper. Peace.